I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys. I did make my tea, and I still have some little bit left. But time got away from me. I'm sorry, guys. I did make my tea, and I still have some little bit left. Hold on. Sorry. I know I'm echoing somewhere. Maybe it's somebody on the panel. Is it me or somebody on the panel? Time got away from me. I'm sorry.
It is
guys.
me.
I did make my tea, and I still have some little bit left. Sorry. Do I have another one playing? Because it was the same thing over again. Okay. Hey there. I think we're good now. Hi, manager of Three Monsters. You'll be here listening. Hi, Heart May Wise. Hi, Rubbity Bub. Hi, Captain Lee fan. OG guy 1234. Welcome. I think it's your first time here, huh? Thank you. Welcome. And let's see, Alicia Bisso, Captain Lee fan. I'm in top chat and not in live chat. Make sure you're in live chat, folks. I don't even know what the freaking top chat is. So ridiculous. Isabel B, welcome. Larky, Chris Ree, Deborah Van Couverden. I'm missing people. Drinking coffee, not you're drinking coffee, Captain Lee. Alicia Bisso. Okay. I think. Farm wife, hi. All right. Let's talk about University of Idaho, right? We talked about it before. They haven't found a weapon. They don't have suspects. The two roommates, the 911 call came from one of their phones, but we don't know who called. It's just nuts. Let's see if there's anything else new from the last time we talked about it. Then we're going to talk about the Colorado Springs. Let me see here. Well, you know what? Before we do the Idaho, let's just do the Colorado Springs. Just put up a graphic here. That was a vigil that was held at the All Souls Unitarian Universalist Church in Colorado Springs on Sunday afternoon. So a man that was in body armor and charging in there with an AR-15 style rifle attacked an LGBTQ nightclub in Colorado Springs Saturday night. I believe it was shortly before or right after midnight. And this massacre killed at least 5 people and injured at least 25 others. Now, there were 2 heroes inside there. One person charged at the gunman, and then another man helped hold him down, which prevented further bloodshed. Mayor John Suthers of Colorado Springs said that a man had grabbed a handgun from the gunman and then hit him with it, subduing him. When the police burst into the club, the man was still on top of the gunman, pinning him down. And it was actually 2 men that were helping, okay? The owners of the club, who looked at the surveillance tape, applauded the actions of the 2 customers, whom they said did not know. They did not know, but who together had overpowered the gunman and held him on the floor until police arrived. So when the police arrived, they already had the gunman down. One customer took down the gunman and was assisted by another, said Matthew Haynes, one of the club's owners, referring to the first person who acted. He saved dozens and dozens of lives. He stopped the man cold, Everyone else was running away, and he ran toward him. Police officials identified the gunman as Anderson Lee Aldrich, 22. He was injured and treated in a hospital. The police recovered 2 guns at the club, says the chief of the Colorado Springs Police Department, Adrian Vasquez. And authorities were still working to discover who owned the AR-15 style rifle that he used in the shooting, as well as the other weapons that were found on scene. Mr. Vasquez said the suspect had not spoken with investigators and does not appear to have said anything at the crime scene. He said the shooting had lasted barely a minute. Now, local district attorney Michael J. Allen said in his statement that his office expected that the case will officially transfer to my office. Now, if you remember Michael J. Allen, he is the same district attorney in the Letitia Stout case, okay? He said that the shooting appeared to have been carried out by a single person. The FBI was also involved in the investigation. The exact number of injured victims was uncertain. Some people have driven themselves to seek treatment, and not all injuries were from gunshot wounds. Some may have been suffered while people were running out. At least 2 people remained in critical condition on Sunday morning, doctors from the hospital said. The shooting erupted just minutes before midnight. Let's see here. The mother of the Anderson Aldrich involved in the case had been renting a spare room from Leslie Bowman, who said in an interview on Sunday that she had been away at the time. His mom had called me and said, "Don't come home right now. There are people looking for Andy." On Sunday after the shooting, Miss Bowman was left wondering why the man may have been at large and able to get a hold of a rifle if he had been accused of the bomb threat. Why is he not in jail after that happening? Okay, this is something, hold on a minute. Wait a second. So a man with the same name and age as the club shooting suspect was arrested in June of 2021 after the man's mother had called the police and said that she was not with her son and did not know where he was, but that he had threatened to hurt her with a bomb, ammunition, and other weapons. Police negotiators persuaded him to walk out of a house and surrender, but not before the police had evacuated students from about 10 nearby houses in a suburban neighborhood just outside of Colorado Springs because of the bomb threat. The police have not said whether the shooting suspect and the man arrested in 2021 are one and the same, but it certainly sounds like it, right? The man was charged with several crimes after that arrest, including felony menacing and 3 kidnapping charges. It's unclear who he was accused of kidnapping. The police said in 2021 that they had not found any explosives, and a spokesperson for the local district attorney declined to say on Sunday how the charges were resolved. His mother said that she had been renting a spare room from Leslie Bowman, who said in an interview on Sunday that she had been away at the time. His mother had called me and said, "Don't come home right now. There are people looking for Andy." On Sunday after the shooting, Ms. Bowman was left wondering why the man may have been at large and able to get a hold of a rifle if he had been accused of a bomb threat. Why is he not in jail after that happening, Ms. Bowman asked. After the initial day, police never reached out to me for additional information. I'm a Second Amendment supporter, don't get me wrong, but for him to be out there and have access to weapons after that incident, I don't understand it. Efforts to reach family members of Mr. Aldrich arrested in the shooting on Sunday were unsuccessful. So it sounds like it's one and the same. I mean, let's see. Police officers arrived and took the gunman into custody within 6 minutes of receiving the emergency call about the shooting. Hours before the shooting, Club Q posted on Facebook about a musical drag brunch on Sunday morning to mark the Transgender Day of Remembrance, which honors the memory of those who lost their lives to anti-transgender violence. After the 2016 mass shooting at Pulse nightclub, those are 2. Wait, hold on a minute. Those are two. We didn't read it about those victims. Let me just see. Not the victims, witnesses. Let's see here. Okay, so it says, let me just read about the suspect is not talking to the police. I don't think he has spoken to the police. Someone grabbed a weapon, yeah. Yeah, and the owners of the club say that the suspected gunman is a stranger to them. It's not someone that they have seen before. So, yeah. Tragic, right? Okay, let's... just go over here, too. Let's go on to the University of Idaho. Let's see what this is. I want to get to the latest stuff. Oh my goodness. This is not that. Okay. So let's go to the latest on this. And this is, where did I just see this one? So the University of Idaho killings are stumping the police. The police have not identified a suspect and said they did not know how a murderer could stab 4 people to death across 2 floors without waking up their roommates. And they also held a vigil. More than a week after 4 University of Idaho students were stabbed to death in the house near campus, the police chief leading the investigation said on Sunday that the police have not been able to answer many of the crime's most pressing questions, such as how did the victims' roommates not wake up when these murders happened? Okay, we know that they had defensive wounds, the victims, which means they fought back. Which would, you think, mean that they screamed or said something or made some kind of noise, right? You would assume that. Okay. Desi, no, baby. Desi. Hold on, I've got to get Desi for a second. Okay. So yeah, you wonder if they have defensive wounds, how they couldn't have heard. So then it's like, well, wait a minute. And then the 911 call comes from one of their phones. It's just crazy. The few details that have been uncovered have only deepened the mystery of this crime and has unnerved students and residents in the college town of Moscow, Idaho. It's left the victims' families trying to find out what's happened. The coroner who conducted the autopsies on the 4 friends said that they were most likely asleep at the time they were attacked, possibly in their beds, and that some of the victims probably tried to fight back, but 2 surviving roommates appear to have slept through the murders. Something that Chief James Fry of the Moscow Police Department says investigators still do not understand. I don't even know that information at this point in time, he said. That's why we're continuing to investigate. 3 of the victims, Madison Mogen, 21, Kaylee Goncalves, 21, and Zaina Kernoodle, 20, lived in the house where the attack occurred. The fourth victim, 20-year-old Ethan Chapin, was there with his girlfriend, who was Ms. Kernoodle. The police say that while the four friends were being killed, two other female roommates were in the house, but they were not attacked. Investigators suggested that they had slept through the murders. The house has 6 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms on each floor. The police said the victims were found on the 2nd and 3rd floors of the house. The police said that when the roommates woke up, they called some of their friends to the house because they believed one of the stabbing victims on the floor had passed out and was not waking up. Oh, come on. With all that amount of blood, that is also crazy. Once the friends arrived, someone from the group called 911 just before noon, and police arrived and found the additional victims. The police said they did not believe anyone who was in that house when the 911 call was placed was involved in the crime. The police said that the 2 surviving roommates had each been out of town separately on Saturday, and they returned to the home by about 1 a.m. before the 4 victims had arrived back from a night out. Kathy Mabutt, the Latah County coroner, said the victims all appeared to have been stabbed multiple times with a large knife and no weapon has been recovered. She also said that she believes at least one victim and possibly more tried to fight off her attacker or his attacker. It's such a horrific crime. It's hard to think that somebody, whether they live here or they were here, commits something like this and is at large. So again, just some things. This happened on November 13th, where they were found dead. None of the victims showed any signs of SA, and toxicology reports have not been completed. Two victims' phones were used to call a friend early in the morning. There were 7 unanswered phone calls made from the phone of one of the victims, Ms. Goncalves, to her former longtime boyfriend in the early morning hours of Sunday, according to her older sister, Olivia Goncalves. Based on phone logs she was able to download from the cell phone provider. The police said that Ms. Mogen had also made calls to the same number. We talked about this last night, and this was a guy named Jack. And it was about 2:26, the first call at 2:26 a.m., and then there were six more calls over the next 26 minutes, with the final one coming in at 2:52 a.m. Now, Jack was also a student at the university, and he said he missed all the calls because he was sleeping, and that her sister, the sister said the sister did not show any other calls after that. Now, Jack did not respond to a request to discuss the case, but he's been a childhood friend of her sister's. She said that they were dating for years until recently, when they decided to take an amicable break. She said that her family stands behind Jack 100% and know he absolutely had nothing to do with this at all. Now, also, the chief of police believes the man that the women called did not have any connection to the crime. And Ms. Goncalves' sister said that the number of calls was not unusual, that Kaylee Goncalves would frequently call people late at night and often until they picked up, even to ask a mundane question like, what should they have for a meal? So let's see. The victims had all spent the night socializing, and it was a typical Saturday night in Moscow, with many students from campus going out to socialize after watching a University of Idaho football game. Now, Ethan Chapin and Zaina Kernoodle have been dating since spring semester. They attended a party at Sigma Chi fraternity from 8 to 9. And then Ms. Mogen and Ms. Goncalves had gone together to the corner bar at about 11 p.m., stayed there till about 1:30 p.m. All 4 friends returned to the home they rented. Well, not Ethan. He didn't live there, but he went there. South of campus at roughly 1:45 a.m. Just before that, a live stream video from the popular late-night food truck captured Ms. Mogen and Ms. Goncalves around 1:40 a.m. The two mingled in the area, chatting and smiling before getting their food and departing. A private party driver gave them a ride home. And let's see, surveillance cameras showed her, that's Goncalves and Miss Mogen, arriving at the home at 1:56 a.m. And let's see, no one has been arrested, no arrest, though the police appear to have ruled out several people. Those ruled out include a man who was seen in the video footage at the food truck, the man who gave Ms. Goncalves the food and Miss Mogen a ride home, the two roommates who were in the house during the attack, the friends the roommates called to the home in the morning, and Ms. Goncalves' former longtime boyfriend. Chief Fry said on Sunday that he also could not say whether the killer was still in town or had fled. I can't say if the person's here. I can't say what community the person's in. The authorities have left open the possibility that there could be more than one perpetrator. Investigators have been contacting local businesses to see if someone had recently purchased a fixed knife blade from them. In the first days after the murders, the Moscow police played down the residents' fears about someone being out there on the loose who perpetrated this crime. They said they did not believe it was an ongoing community risk, and that it was a targeted attack, and that it seemed to be a crime of passion and no imminent threat to the community at large. But on Wednesday, 3 days after the murders, Chief James Fry stepped back from those earlier assurances and said, "We cannot say that there is no threat to the community." This was an about face, and it was just one of several contradictory comments from the city and county officials. Now, the mayor, Art Bettage of Moscow, said that a day after the murders that the case was considered a crime of passion, but later said he could not say for sure. But one consistent message from the police is that the attack appears to have been targeted. Let's see. So what do we know about these victims? Madison Mogen went by the name of Maddie. She was a senior. She was majoring in marketing. Her grandmother, Kim Chile, said that Maddie had always been a gentle and caring person who kept many long-term friendships and close ties with an extended family. Her boyfriend was Jake Schreiger, and she had been excited for graduation next year and talked about wanting to explore other parts of the world. She always tried to spread positivity. She brought acts of kindness to others. And let's see. Her boyfriends hoped that people remember her for the love she had given to others. There's no words that I can really describe her, how amazing she was and how wonderful a person she was, her boyfriend, Mr. Schreiger, said. And that was Madison. Let me see here. Let me put a picture up here. And then Kaylee, who's the other one, and the other lady, other young woman in the picture, was from Rathdrum, Idaho. She had been set to graduate early in December and planned to move to Austin, Texas with one of her close friends in June. She had secured a position with a marketing firm, and she was excited to explore more of the country. "We wanted that adventure," said a friend of hers. I would be like, "Let's do this," and she'd be like, "Down." Olivia Goncalves said that her younger sister and Miss Mogen had served as bridesmaids for her wedding. Her sister, and she said, still shared a dog with her former boyfriend, and the two had seemed likely to get back together. Now, Ethan Chapin was from Conway, Washington, and he was one of 3 triplets. Wow. He was a triplet. Okay, he was one of 3 triplets and had spent much of November 12th, the day before the killings, with both of his siblings, who are also University of Idaho students. Oh my gosh, said their mother, Stacy Chapin. In the evening, they had all attended a dance together held by his sister's sorority, she said. Huh. My kids are very thankful that it was time well spent with him. He was literally the life of the party. He made everybody laugh. He was just the kindest person. Mr. Chapin played basketball in high school and was known by friends and family members for always having a big smile ever since he was a baby. Miss Chapin described her son as just the brightest light. Okay, Xana Kernodle grew up in Idaho but spent time in Arizona in recent years. Her father, Jeffrey, gave an interview, told the station that his daughter was strong-willed and had enjoyed having an independent life in college. He said his daughter had always appeared to try to fight her attacker, an account backed up by the coroner. Her father expressed shock that she could be killed while being with friends at the home that she lived at there off campus, and said he too had no idea who could have committed these attacks. She was with her friends all the time, her father said. Wow. Crazy. Okay, so that's all that's known on that. What a shame. Prayers for their families. Okay. And this is like such a strange mugshot. I don't know what this black line here is for this. Well, this man in Missouri robbed a bank using a birth certificate, wearing an ankle monitor and one orange shoe. Hold on a minute. Okay. Authorities allege that on July 30th, Michael C. Lloyd walked into the Bank of America branch on West Kearney Street in Springfield, Missouri. He was wearing what? A cutoff t-shirt, blue gym shorts, and one orange shoe. Michael he had multiple tattoos on his arms. He had an apparent expletive written or tattooed on the front of his neck. Oh, that's what it is. Okay. And then gave a bank teller a copy of his birth certificate with the following written in pink: "Give your money now. Don't say anything. I have a partner outside." Although there was not actually a partner outside, the teller didn't know that, and she gave him $754 from a drawer. And then he exited the building and drove away in his roommate's pickup truck. As he was fleeing in the truck, he grew scared from passing police cars responding to the robbery, so he threw out his birth certificate, ID, and some of the money out the window. He then texted his roommate and instructed her to tell the police that the truck was stolen. He also said that she should begin listening to the police scanner. The bank bandit then called Ashley, who he said was his lover, so he could tell her what he had just done. At some point, the boyfriend of his roommate called police officers and responded to their home in the Lazy Acres mobile home park, where Michael quickly confessed and was arrested. In an interview with police, Michael said that he had gotten into an argument with Ashley, who he said was his lover, and wanted to prove a point to her. It's not clear what point he was trying to prove. He was also wearing an ankle monitoring bracelet when he was arrested, which showed that he was at the bank at the time of the robbery. It was not immediately clear why Michael was wearing the monitor, but someone with the same name has a lengthy rap sheet which includes recent charges, criminal charges. Oh boy. On Friday, he pled guilty to 1 count of bank robbery. He could be sentenced up to 20 years in prison and fined $250,000, although the judge has the discretion to impose a lesser sentence. Wow, crazy. Okay, got that. And then we went through that rally Christmas parade. That was horrible. Maryland police are still investigating why a man fatally shot a woman and her 4-year-old daughter. They were found out on Wednesday. Javon Hines, 22, was arrested in Elkridge a day after the hotel staff in Hagerstown allegedly discovered the bodies of Elise Wars, 40, and Corey Ashton, who were they were her longtime friend told that the pair had been living in the hotel since June. Another friend said that they went to the hotel after management called the sister about the pair's whereabouts. Hotel staff realized they hadn't seen or heard from Corey, and they had seen them every day. She was supposed to be going to Baltimore, and she would call me, but never did. Friends also said that they last heard from her on Wednesday. The murders of the mother and daughter were targeted and deliberate. However, a motive remains unclear. So that's just really sad, right? It doesn't seem to have. Okay, let's see more there. Let's go to this and see what we can see. Okay. So the Buffalo shooting suspect expected to plead guilty in the massacre. When is he going to do? Earlier this year. So that shooting in the supermarket in Buffalo, if you remember that one. The gunman, who's accused of killing 10 people in a racist massacre at a Buffalo, New York supermarket earlier this year, has agreed to plead guilty to all of the state charges against him, according to the 2 victims' relatives. Cornell Whitfield Jr., who lost his 86-year-old mother Ruth in the May 14th attack at Tops Supermarket, said on Thursday that he had been informed that the suspect, Peyton Gendron, would plead guilty on Monday. Zanita Everhart, whose son was wounded but survived the attack, also confirmed that a plea deal had been reached. Mr. Gendron is 19. He live-streamed his attack and left behind ample online writings illustrating his racist belief. He had been indicted on 25 counts, including 10 counts of first-degree murder, 10 counts of second-degree murder charges as hate crimes, as well as a single count of domestic terrorism motivated by hate, which carries a penalty of life imprisonment without parole. Mr. Whitfield thanked authorities for their work on the case, but expressed some sadness that a trial would not be held to illustrate the broader forces, including social media, that are said to have influenced the gunman. He's a non-issue for me. He's guilty. Excuse me. He's guilty of having done what he's accused of, Mr. Whitfield said, citing the gun's industry influence. He said, "Those are the things that we want to shine a light on and expose." The Erie County District Attorney's Office said they would not confirm the plea, citing a gag order. But Caitlin Monroe, a spokesperson for the District Attorney John J. Flynn, said the suspect would appear in court in Buffalo on Monday afternoon. Buffalo's Mayor Byron Brown said the subject's plea is going to be difficult for the families because it will open up that wound again. But I think it's good for that individual that individual is pleading guilty. The suspect is an avowed white supremacist who said in his writings that he had chosen East Buffalo because of its large population of black residents, traveling some 200 miles from his home in the southern tier town of Conklin, New York. He shot 13 people, almost all black, including 3 people who survived the attack. He used a semi-automatic rifle and wore camouflage and body armor. He had the intention of killing as many blacks as possible, shooting some 60 rounds inside the supermarket hook. He was arrested after surrendering to police unharmed. Before the attack, authorities said that the suspect had posted a white supremacist rant on Discord. On the morning of the attack, he left a note in his bedroom saying that he had to commit this attack because he cared for the future of the white race. A report that was released last month by the New York Attorney General, Letitia James, described how the suspect had sought to live stream his killings to amplify his white supremacist beliefs, hoping to inspire others to follow with similar racist attacks. A lawyer for the suspect did not immediately issue a comment on any of this. The suspect was 18 at the time of the attack, and he still faces federal gun and hate crime charges related to the massacre. Ms. Everhart's son, Zary Goodman, 21, was shot in the neck, the bullet tearing his back. 6 months after the massacre, he still has shrapnel in his back and at times is overcome with survivor's guilt, she said. While the expected guilty plea offered some semblance of justice, she said it would not bring peace to her or her son. She hoped that the suspect would go to a trial so that the county could see what he did. And she went on to say it's important that people understand this doesn't just go away because this guy pleads guilty. Her son attends therapy regularly. So when is he going to have a normal life again? She asks. Truthfully, I don't see that there will ever being a date of a normal. So let me see where you guys are in here. Where are you? Is that my life? Oh, is this the live? Okay, it's just stopped. Okay, so that is about it for the true crime portion. It's pretty heavy. Get up there. So, Anybody? Is anybody awake on the panel? Is anybody awake on the panel? Is anybody awake? Sharon, are you awake on the panel?
I'm here.
Oh, okay. What do you think about any? Do you have any feelings on that Idaho stuff?
Well,
I mean, do you have any idea what you think could happen? I mean, it's kind of weird, right?
it is weird, but what about the two people in the house?
Yeah, but they're like saying that. I don't know. It's so weird. I think, yeah, we haven't heard everything that we need to hear. It's just like,
Yeah, it's too not a filled out story. You can guess, but how in the hell did they kill all those people without somebody waking and screaming or something? That's the part I don't get.
what
Maybe I'll
happened to
knock
what
it out.
happened to your good mic? Because now you've got like the mouse mic.
Right.
You had a really good mic for like a day.
Okay, how's that?
Much better.
Okay. I was
But-
just leaning forward talking to the tablet. I just plugged in. So, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I don't know what to think about this case. It's terrible.
Yeah. No,
They-
I don't know. But you know what? I think let's go to some of those social questions. A couple who enjoys hosting parties doesn't know what to make of invitees who request exceptions to their no kids allowed rule. My wife and I host parties, and my wife and I host parties for about 30 people, and always specify in the invitation that they are for adults only. Kids require supervision and can get cranky, and we want to create a relaxing atmosphere. Still, we are inevitably asked, can I set my son up with Legos in a corner? Or our sitter fell through. Can we bring our 6-year-old? It's stressful to have to repeat our desire for adult gatherings, and it makes us feel like the bad guys. If we made exceptions, we would feel bad for the parents who hired sitters. And we don't want kids. Why don't these parents get it? They seem pushy and selfish to us. And the best answer said this: it's not easy being a host these days, and parents asking to bring young children to parties after they were explicitly not invited is just one problem. I hear from hosts whose invitees don't respond to invitations as requested and then show up anyway, or invitees who do not respond then bring extra guests or even dogs without asking permission. Here's my theory. Fewer people are giving house parties and seated dinners now. More often, we invite a few friends over to hang out, or we socialize in restaurants. So some of us lose sight of the hard work and stress it takes to give a party. We're out of practice at being good guests. Now, I know it's no fun to tell a parent that her child is not welcome, but if that's what it takes to give the party that you want, do it. And don't feel guilty about it. I agree that asking for exemption from the clear language of your invitation is pushy, but we all overstep. That's not limited to parents. The next time someone does, say, we're sorry you can't find a sitter. We look forward to seeing you another time.
Right. That's what you respond. I'm sorry you won't be able to attend. You'll be missed.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you say. Oh.
Okay, here's another one. I'm a woman, 27 years old, who moved to New York this summer for work, and I signed up for 2 dating apps. Disaster. Then I met a nice guy, 30. In real life, we have a great connection. On our first date, he told me he's in recovery from alcohol and sex addiction. He offered to talk about it. He said he wants to date me, but he needs to go slowly. My roommate thinks I should dump him. Called him damaged goods. but I'm not sure. You? They said, I can't tell you whether to date this guy, but if your only reservation is that he's in recovery, why not take him up on his offer to go slowly and get to know him better? You can ask him about his addictive behavior and his sobriety, which he should be proud of. It may work out between you, and it may not. These are early days, but so far he has behaved responsibly and treated you respectfully. You have every right, of course, to stop seeing him. Just remember, the men you date are not goods, but people with feelings and everything. And here's another one. My beloved husband of many years died 18 months ago. Recently, I thought I might be ready to date. I met a man who is funny and understanding, and we went on 4 dates. There are issues. I'm 65. He's 78. I nursed my husband through his illness and don't relish doing that again. Also, he's quirky. He has invited me to visit him at his winter home for 3 weeks, but after I said I'd like to take a few days to visit friends nearby, he sent me a nasty letter telling me he's blocking my calls and emails. I know his behavior is unreasonable, but I'm having trouble getting over him. Help. This person said, I'm setting aside my rule against giving bossy advice. Good riddance, honey. You are a relatively new widow. Find someone easygoing and not mean. Last thing you need is a 3-week confinement with a man prone to temper tantrums. I know that available older men don't grow on trees, but you are better off without this one. Join a local volunteer group that interests you and see who crops up there.
I agree. My other advice is go to church. At least crawling with them.
I am one of 6 hosts of a baby shower to be held at a luxury hotel in Boston. We are taking afternoon tea. I am a vegan. The mother-to-be is a vegetarian and others eat meat. There will be 3 separate menus. I was surprised to see that one includes foie gras, which the New York City Council tried to ban. When I suggested a substitution, the principal host told me she's looking forward to them and sees it as a personal choice. What do you think? I said, well, that's legal in Massachusetts. A ban on its sale and production in New York City because of force-feeding practices is now being challenged in court, but moral positions don't require laws to back them up. If you don't want to co-host a party with foie gras on the menu, opt out. That is your right. But if you decide to attend, don't make a stink during the party. Sharing your concerns about animal cruelty privately will be more persuasive. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Foie gras.
Yeah.
Who would want that?
Let me see here. All right, here's another one. Many years ago, my sister-in-law, who is now deceased, tried to steal our home. My husband and her husband were brothers and jointly owned a 2-family house. My brother-in-law, also now deceased, promised to leave his half of the house to us in his will. But shortly after he underwent brain surgery, when he was confused, his wife had him sign a new will in her favor. Their children were complicit. My husband and I sued and won. My concern, my sister-in-law had a granddaughter who was very young at the time. Because of her grandmother's greed, the child lost all contact with our side of the family without any explanation. She is now 19. Should I contact her to explain what happened? It may help her with closure, though she may not remember us. The person said, I'm all for mending fences, but I don't think that's the likely outcome here. Reporting the bad deeds of a dead and possibly beloved grandmother to a young woman who may not remember you seems unnecessary. If she were curious about your family, she probably would have heard some version of the story already. No, I have a different idea. Imagine that your sister-in-law was so afraid of losing the home and her security that she behaved badly. You don't say why her husband was leaving the house to you. Now envision her complicit children as simply loving and trusting their mother. I know this is a lot to ask of you, but people's motives are often more complex than merely good or evil. Also, your sister-in-law is dead, and you got the house. I may be wrong, but I suspect you need closure more than a granddaughter does. Why not reach out to your nieces and nephews and invite them over? If they accept, no need to reopen old wounds, just have a nice visit. You may feel surprisingly unburdened by putting this conflict behind you. Okay. My sister and I, about 30, grew up in a small town. I stayed, she left. During high school, she dated a guy for a few weeks, but it didn't work out. No big deal. I see him around town, and last week he invited me for drinks. I called my sister to tell her, and surprisingly, she objected. I find this idiotic. Should I go out with him anyway? I wouldn't. Yet. Call your sister back and ask her why she objects to you seeing this man. Don't settle for it. It would be awkward. Either. Encourage her to be more specific. There may be a big deal here that you don't know about. If there isn't, or if your sister doesn't persuade you with a reasonable argument, I wish you the best of luck in dating her ex with whom she may have had sex. Okay. Is it common now and seems to be acceptable to discuss other people's money? He inherited a fortune from his father. I heard she's earning 6 figures. They paid less than $500,000 for that house. I don't want to participate in these conversations, even if they are acceptable. How can I politely communicate this fact? And the guy says, you would have loved my parents. They never talked about money. I talk about little else. Sort of kidding. Money, whether inherited or earned because of how we're set up by our families, often determines the range of choices we have in our lives. I think it's healthy to acknowledge economic differences, but talking about money can be a kind of gossip too, so I respect your desire to opt out. Say, let's change the subject. Her money is none of our business. You may be considered a killjoy, but you're making a fair point. Don't be afraid to repeat yourself. This may take a few tries. Okay. We are newcomers to the downtown neighborhood of our small town. Our next door neighbor is a self-styled dog rescuer. She keeps up to 15 dogs in her home on an acre lot. Many are strays that she places eventually with others. She lets them out several times a day, and they poop and bark up a storm. The smell and clouds of flies and mosquitoes are a nuisance, and nobody wants to be the bad guy and confront her. She's a lovely person. One neighbor told us to accept the status quo because her family is so prominent in town and her work is valuable. Can we broach this issue? And then the person says, I am no zoning officer, but 15 dogs in one house at a residential neighborhood, even if many are fostered only temporarily, is outrageous. Your charitable neighbor is treating you uncharitably. I get that nobody wants to be a meanie. So go next door and be nice. Praise her for her good works, and then tell her that the stench and noise are intolerable. Ask that she clear her property of dog poop daily, or hire someone to do it. Then provide specific windows when you don't want to hear 15 dogs barking in her yard. If she refuses, head to the zoning office. Family prominence is not... Oh, yeah. It's not an issue. Sure. I don't think so. Let's see what else we have now.
They tell you to visit if you're going to buy a house. Visit the neighborhood during the day and visit it at night too.
Right. Our son and his fiance are both 24. They're getting married next summer. The bride's mother has commandeered the planning. When the kids express an opinion, she gets huffy and overrules them. Early on, she asked my son, are your parents splitting the cost of the wedding with us? Flustered, he said yes, but no one told us. Now, the mother of the bride has planned an extravagant affair and sent us a spreadsheet with our share of the costs. We can't afford it. I think she is way off base. My wife wants us to take out a loan. Your thoughts? I say no question. The bride's mother comes off poorly here. No one likes a bossy wedding planner. But it's your son who takes that cake. Why on earth would he commit you to paying half the unknown cost of a wedding and not tell you? I understand being intimidated in the moment, but he's probably had months to straighten this out. I sympathize with your wife's impulse to make good on your son's promise, but I beg you, no loans. Incurring thousands of dollars of debt for a lavish party you can't afford is unwise and may even jeopardize your financial security. Before you do anything else, decide with your wife the amount that you can comfortably contribute to the wedding, if any. Then go to the bride's parents with your son. Tell them you learned only recently of his commitment on your behalf, but unfortunately you can't afford it. Share the amount you can contribute. Hopefully there is time yet to modify or cancel plans, and do this quickly. If the bride's parents reasonably believed your son was acting as your agent, you and he have a duty to mitigate as many of the resulting costs as possible. Still, this aggravation may be worth it if your son learns the important lesson here. Never spend other people's money.
Yeah.
My husband and I lead hectic lives and look forward to unwinding with friends on trivia night at a local bar. We put together a good team. Recently, a childhood friend of my husband's moved back to town. He is lonely and he said he was good at trivia, so we invited him to join us. Big mistake. He often arrives drunk. He treats the game as an afterthought, chatting with people instead. And when he blurts out answers to questions, he's usually wrong. He's ruining our night out. How do we handle this? Well, you gave your husband's lonely pal a fair shot, which was kind of you, but he clearly doesn't share your trivia ethos. Just because you invited him to join you once doesn't mean you're stuck with him forever, though it does require a gentle conversation to give him the heave-ho. Before the next trivia night, you and your husband should decide who is better suited to the task of telling the friend, "We don't think you're a good fit with our trivia team. We're more focused on the game than you. Let's make plans to see you at another time instead." And then make sure to follow through, possibly when you can introduce the lonely newcomer to other folks. I had a baby this spring, and luckily she gives me nothing to complain about. She sleeps well, hardly cries, and loves daycare, which has allowed me to go back to work. Several friends have babies the same age as mine and tell me how they struggle with sleep issues, separation anxiety, and bad moods. How should I handle these talks without coming off as bragging about how easy my baby is so far? I think it's great to be sensitive to friends who are struggling. In my experience, people who are having a rough time often want to vent freely and without guilt, more than they want to compare notes or take advice, so just listen. Nothing you can say is likely to cure a baby's colic or ease a parent's anxiety about going back to work. You can be supportive as a listener, though, and give your friends plenty of encouragement to express themselves. It would also be a kindness to avoid talking about your super easy baby during these conversations.
Mm-hmm.
We live across the street from a nature preserve. Our picture window gives us a beautiful view that we love to enjoy. Our neighbors with whom we are close have frequent visitors who park in front of our house and obstruct our view, even though there's plenty of room in front of their house. We know we don't have a right to prohibit parking on public streets, but can we address this issue with them? The answer is, as long as you really truly mean it when you acknowledge you have no right to police open parking, there's no harm in speaking up and say, "Can we ask you a big favor? We'd be so grateful if you asked your visitors to park in front of your house so they don't block our view. We love to sit and admire it." They may oblige you, but if they don't, it would be silly to fall out with your good neighbors over their guests' legal parking.
Right. Legal parking.
Let's see. I met a woman online a few months ago. We exchanged numbers and have texted nearly every day since. She lives in Spain. I live here. We're both in our 20s. What started as an online sexual fling has evolved into something more. We use pet names, watch TV shows together, and confide in each other. We also have sex online. We don't know if it's a real relationship, but if we lived in the same place, it would be amazing. I have been honest about trying to date women where I live, which she dislikes hearing, but I haven't had much luck. Do you think this online relationship is stifling my ability to find someone in real life?
Duh.
No one can tell you what kind of relationship to want, There are countless varieties. Be careful about overinvesting in fantasies, though. You have never met this woman in person. It's all pet names and good times with a few confidences thrown in while you search for someone local. No wonder she doesn't like hearing that. You're killing the artificial mood. Let me give you a taste of what's missing here. Stale morning breath, bickering about cleaning the bathroom, and figuring out how to make up. Good times, right? But working through everyday friction helps create solidarity and trust. I get the appeal of your stress-free setup, but I worry that your bad luck in dating is caused partly by the easiness of this virtual arrangement. You get to avoid most conflict and compromise staples of healthy relationships. I wonder, too, why you don't mention visiting this woman after months of nonstop communication. If that isn't in the cards, and if you want a more conventional relationship, move on gently and reset the distance parameter on your dating apps. The next time you match with someone, keep seeing that person after the first bouts of difficulty. Try to work it out. The illusion of infinite choice on the apps is your enemy. Sure, there's always another profile, but there's never a good relationship without compromise. When I was in elementary school, my dad ran off with his secretary in an unoriginal movie. We saw little of him. A kind neighbor stepped up. He even took me to a father-daughter dance at school. Fast forward 20 years, my mother invited him to my wedding last summer. He gave me a generous cash gift, but I learned he's an electric... Oh my God. But I learned... This sounds like my daughter. Not about the affair, but this part. And you'll, if you remember... But I found out he's an election denier. Should we return the gift?
Keep it and back away.
I'm sorry that your kind-hearted neighbor is susceptible to baseless conspiracy theories, but what does that have to do with anything? He was invited to your wedding, unless you left out something major. He didn't make a stink about politics, and he gave you a generous gift. Write him a thank you note and move on.
Yep.
Hold on.
If I didn't know better, I would think you had pneumonia, Carolyn.
You said you think I have pneumonia?
You sound like you do.
No. Okay. I have been totally estranged from my brother for years. I am relieved to be free of him, and he feels the same. So why do relatives, friends, and acquaintances insist that I reach out to mend fences? Most of these people have no idea of the cruelty I endured for years, but they harp on the importance of family. They may be well-meaning, but their intrusiveness agitates me. How can I politely insist that they back off?
Hey, you want him to join you instead?
What?
That's what I would say.
Oh.
Because I get that crap too. Would you like to have him come visit you for, I don't know, a few years? Yeah.
Newsflash, most of the people urging you to make up with your brother don't really care what you do. Lifelong relationships are few, and many people dislike hearing about rifts within families, so they push for reconciliation. I tell you this to relieve your distress. Their insistence is probably not personal. You know the pros and cons of having your brother in your life better than anyone, and you've made your call. Now, if you are the one sharing your estrangement, stop it. You're inviting unwanted concern. If others bring it up, say, let's talk about something else. My relationship with my brother is complicated. That should do the trick.
Yeah.
For weeks, I planned a special meal at a good restaurant with my sister. I envisioned 3 courses, a cheese plate, a starter, and a main course. I booked an early table so we could spend a couple of hours catching up and savoring our meal. The place wasn't busy, but the waiter brought out all the food at the same time, so we ended up wolfing everything down. What should I have done? I was too flummoxed to say anything once the plates were on the table. At this moment in history, having watched waiters become frontline workers during the pandemic and having survived the James Corden egg yolk omelet affair, I hope we can all agree that servers deserve respect. That doesn't mean that they won't make mistakes, often caused by misunderstandings in the kitchen. Only that we shouldn't act like monsters when they do. Next time, say, "We prefer one course at a time. Please leave the cheese and take the rest for now, okay?" Problem solved. No, they should have said it before.
Right.
They should have said, "We want to, have an easy flow dinner. Can you bring out the appetizers? Then wait. Bring out the next sort." Yeah, they should have expressed that before, not because then all the food is going to be cold. It's going to be under a heat lamp. They can't. That's really bad advice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's see if there's anything else there. Okay. My father is celebrating his 60th birthday next month. He and my mother are teachers. They live modestly. But he came into a chunk of money unexpectedly, and they're turning his birthday, combined with their 30th anniversary, into an irresponsible money pit. Rather than adding to their retirement account, they are chartering a private jet to take them, my brother and me, to a tropical island for an over-the-top vacation. The problem? I'm truly stressed about climate change and object to private jets. Using them is selfish and destructive to the environment. Meanwhile, my brother and I have student debt. I have shared my objections with my parents, but they are committed to this vacation. Can I refuse to go?
Sure.
I
No one's
respect
holding
your
a gun to your head.
I respect your objection to private jets and supersized carbon footprints, but two lifelong public servants taking one blinged out holiday to celebrate their milestones and briefly emulating the daily life of Taylor Swift is small potatoes, environmentally speaking. Let them see how the super rich live once. I assume your parents understand the ramifications of not funding their retirement now. They have supported themselves and their family for 30 years. I see no reason to question their fiscal responsibility. No, I prefer to be happy for their windfall and a little disappointed that you linked it to your student debt, as if you and your brother should reap the benefits instead of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it possible for you to lean on rationalization here? A slippery business, I know. The private jet is taking off in any event. One more passenger will not increase its ill effects. Or perhaps you can join your family by traveling commercially. You may refuse to go, of course, but it seems a shame to skip your parents' celebration because of one excess. Maybe they would agree to buy carbon offsets from a company that plants trees. My husband and I trade dog sitting duties with another couple. They watch our dog while we're away and we watch theirs. The last time we had their large dog, it bolted when a car engine backfired and broke away from me on its leash. We frantically searched for it and warned the owners to take all calls. Their phone numbers are printed on the dog's ID tag. They were soon contacted by a veterinarian who was treating the dog. It had been hit by a car. They asked us to pick up the dog, which we did, and we paid the $1,500 vet bill. When they returned, we submitted the bill to our friends, but they refused to pay it, claiming that we were totally responsible for injuries while the dog was in our care. That's not right, is it? No, it is extremely not right. If your friends had paid a kennel to board their dog or a bonded dog sitter, I would be more sympathetic to their claim. Though they probably would have signed an agreement retaining liability for accidents in that case. You were doing them a favor and stuff happens. Presumably your friends approved the scope and cost of the treatment when they spoke to the vet. I assume, too, that you were being reasonably careful when the dog broke away from you. Here's the problem. You already paid the bill. Revisit the issue in a few days. Your friends may soften after the shock wears off. If they continue to reject all responsibility, Consult a lawyer, consider a small claims action, or rethink this friendship. Our outdoor hot tub will be delivered soon. My husband and I intend to use it during daylight and without wearing swimsuits. Yes, nude.
Goody.
We have neighbors who live like 40 feet away and will be able to see us if they choose to, while we walk the 20 feet from our patio to the hot tub. We do not intend to cover up. We have some non-neighbor friends who are appalled by this. You? And they say, why do I get the impression that you want me to be scandalized? Never mind. In the United States, it is generally illegal to be naked in public, including when you're on your own property, and others, especially children, are likely to see you. Laws vary by town and state. But why create potential awkwardness? You need to bring towels to the hot tub for you to dry off anyway. Wrap them around yourselves when you walk to the tub, and then let them fall dramatically to the ground as you slip into the steamy water. Decency mostly preserved. When I was 16, my religious parents discovered I was having sex with my girlfriend. I was grounded for the entire summer, which brought a promising relationship to an end. And now, 3 years later, I have learned that my 16-year-old sister is having sex with her boyfriend. Should I tell my parents? They said, why would you do that? So your sister will suffer just because you did? Unless you think there is something harmful to her in the relationship, I urge you to discuss this question with her. Don't go to your parents. You know better than many of us the cruelty of rigidly administered discipline. Okay. And that's the end of those for right now.
Were those Dear Abby?
Yeah, social. So,
Oh, boy.
hope you all learned something. Let's see what the chat says. Hi, Linda Uribe. Linda says I need to rest my voice. I think you're right, Linda. That's why I'm not doing. That's why I can't read the Scott Peterson right now, because it's too much when I have to do Garagos for my voice.
Yeah.
But I am feeling better, Linda. I am feeling a lot better. I wasn't feeling so hot after the crafts today, and I wasn't feeling that great last night, but I'm feeling much better now. I look much better now. I do, even though than last night. Why did they have to pay for it then? I don't know what element of he's talking to one of those names. But I guess I am going to call it an early night. I'll be in the Zoom. Probably go into the massage chair for a little bit, nice and early. That'll be good. And if you want to join us, join us. And, I have to start a new Zoom. Anyway, let me do that while we're here.
Goodbye.
Bye. I'll bring us back. Let me see. Bring up the new things. No, I appreciate you looking out for me, Linda. But I am feeling better. I am feeling better. Thank good. Thank good. Thank God. Oh my gosh. What is going on? Just, you know when you get that cough at the end, and you're like, oh my gosh. Sometimes it'll happen when you're in a store, even when you're feeling like better, and then it comes, and the more you try to stop it, it just keeps coming, and then you're like, oh my gosh. And I'm talking like before the C word, right? Oh gosh, I can remember that like in the 90s. My two kids, I remember being in phase drugs trying to pick up, isn't it crazy the things you remember? Probably 1989 or 1990, trying to pick up my film when you used to bring your film in. And they were asking me my name, and I was trying to, I'm like, there's this long line to wait on, and I was saying, please don't cough, please don't start coughing, please don't start coughing, please don't start. And by the time I made it up there, I was like 1 minute, and it was like what I just did there. And it was like, I was just like, oh my gosh, why? Or I've got laryngitis. I think I've had laryngitis like 2 or 3 times in my life ever. And it's come either after I was totally well from something or not sick at all. And you just sound like you're so sick. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. All right. All right. All right. Let me put this in Slack. But I haven't felt sick until I felt a little bit tired today. That's what it is. And I was a little bit cold and wanted to be in the massage chair. All right. Let me go over here. And Ruff, I have to get your invoice thing, and I know that. I'm going to do that tomorrow, and I'm going to get as many as I can get out tomorrow. Okay, there's the number. Sassy came on and was doing a craft in the Zoom because she missed our thing. She was doing this thing that I saw where you put nail polish in water. I saw it with a ping pong ball, but she was using one of those ornament things. Here comes Sharon. Here comes Sharon. And Liza. I knew it was going to be Liza, even though I didn't see it. Hi, Liza.
Hello,
Hello.
Karen. Hello.
How are you?
All good. Freezing cold. It's,
Is it cold there?
yeah, it is at the moment. We're in the middle of spring, but it's freezing.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought you're like, Deborah, it's so different, right? Deborah Vancouverton has like sweltering heat.
Yeah. Hey,
Hello,
Lark.
Larky.
Hi, Liza.
Hey, Lark. How are you, doll?
Good. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Hi, Carolyn.
Oh, look, we have closed hi. We have
I
closed
know.
captioning again.
I don't know what is going on. Who can see this transcript?
Hi, Carolyn. Hi, Liza.
Oh,
Hi,
hi,
Sharon.
Deborah. I
Hi,
didn't see you
How are you?
sneak in here. Okay. There you go.
The transcripts from this meeting may be saved and shared with apps and other participants.
I don't know how that keeps happening.
But whatever.
Based on the
Go for it. Go for it.
Share away. Go nuts. Jesus. What are we going to say?
I know. Oh, look at the nail polish. That was so fun. Look at it. Look at it adhering to the ornaments she was using. Okay. All right. Let me say goodbye to the chatters. Where are you? Okay, chatters. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for coming in. Be well. Love you guys. God bless. Prayers for you all. And we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Let me see. That's not the one to close you out. Hold on. Where's my... Oh, boy. I have to go into my thingy. Our channel. Content. Okay. Go in there. In the stream.